Hi there, welcome back to a brand new episode, and that tide really is charging in behind me today. It's just gone low tide. That means that the water is starting to flood in and there's a lot of wind with it today. We've got a really strong onshore wind, probably 20-25 mile an hour from the west, a little bit of north in it, but this is absolute textbook conditions for bass fishing. Well, you've guessed it, that's what we're going to be doing. I've already got some baits in the water. I'm fishing today with my friend Joe Thompson. He's also got his rods out. Let's see how we get on. So I've got two rods fishing at the moment. I've got the more powerful Any Fish Anywhere Grand Prix, and I've got the brand new Bass Pro. Now this is a rod that I'm actually really excited about. This kind of fishing, light tackle, light gear in general, I absolutely love. It's the best way to fish. You cannot beat that feeling, having a decent fish on the end of a soft rod. Great fun. So because of the weather conditions and that really stiff wind which is ripping through here, I'm fishing 6-ounce leads. Obviously on the heavier of the two rods, that's not a problem. I can cast at a sensible distance. On the lighter rod, it is going to limit me somewhat. But still, we've got one at short range, one a bit further out. Let's try it. Well, we've only been fishing for about 20 minutes and Joe's just had a good bite, and I think he's actually winding in a fish now. Let's go and take a look. What we got on there then, mate?
I reckon we got a nice little bass on here.
It looks like it. Try and use the waves to bring her ashore if you can. I know it's not easy. Yeah, it's a bass. Lovely. Oh, nicely hooked as well. Fair play. Look at that. Pristine Bristol Channel bass. That's why we fish in these conditions. For whatever reason, it just drives them absolutely wild. Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's churning up the seabed. All the little bits of food that they feed on are all suspended in the water. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Right, what do you want to do with this one, Joe?
We'll put her back and live for another day.
Yeah, good call, mate. Let's get her back, and what a great start to the session. Well, I've just returned to my rods and the bass rod is absolutely slack. Now, whether it's still here or not, I doubt very much. What tends to happen with bass is it's a one-hit wonder. Comes along, breaks the lead out. If you're not there and then, the fish can just as easily spit the hooks out. I'm not feeling any resistance there whatsoever. It's just slack line. It's so encouraging though to see these fish so early on in the session. You know, it could bode well for the next couple of hours. That is still going slack though, actually. I'll tell you what, let's have a little look at it. Yeah, there's a bit of weight on here. I think there's quite a lot of weed out in the water, so it could just be weed, but like I say, definitely some resistance. I sometimes think half of the fun of fishing is the absolute guesswork that goes on when you hook a fish, especially when conditions are like this, and you can never be absolutely sure. what you might catch. Obviously it does bring the bass in, but I think it encourages all fish to feed positively, and if you can get a bait out there, it's often, you know, productive. There is a bit of weight on it. It's pulling back. What have we got? I'm surprised it's still there though. That fish had loads of time to get rid of the hooks. I just hope we haven't just nicked it and we're going to have a bit of a hook pull situation. But no, think positively. Here it comes anyway. What are we going to have? It would be lovely if it was another bass. I don't know if it is though. It's a little bit, staying a little bit still. Although it's not now, it's just swam down tide. What have we got? Well, I can see a wing, I can see some flapping. So I think we all know what this is going to be. Well, okay, so it would have been a little bit too much to ask for Joe and myself to have picked up a bass on the first cast, so looks like I've got the consolation prize in the shape of this thornback. And as I've said many times, they are such a common species here in the Bristol Channel nowadays. To think that they were virtually long lines to, well, near extinction here anyway, back in the 80s, and once that practice was stopped, well, what a comeback these fish have made. And local anglers, they detest them. They pick up baits intended for other species, and okay, so that's exactly what's happened here. That was a nice bass bait and a ray's picked it up. But honestly, who cares? Look at that, what a beautiful little fish. Let's go and pop him back in the water anyway. So when it comes to bass fishing baits, I've made no secret of the fact in previous videos that I absolutely love peeler crab. It's such a brilliant bait. It stays on the hook, bass love it. I mean, what more could you want? That said, on this particular venue, there is the chance of a Dover sole. There's also the chance of a smoothhound. Now, obviously a smoothhound will pick up the crab baits, but the sole, not so much, although there is perhaps a slim chance. But for those reasons, today I'm fishing with king ragworm. Now, I've got a pennel rig here consisting of 2.0 Varivas Aberdeen hooks, and I've got a couple of big ragworm on there. Now the hooks themselves are going through the heads of the ragworm at either end, and there's a very good reason for that. Sole will actually take a worm head first, so by putting the points of the hooks in the heads of the worms, you've got a good chance of making a connection. And let's be honest, sole are quite a finicky fish. Now, some of you will be watching this thinking 2.0 hooks for sole, that's absolutely bonkers. Well, the thing is, the sole around here go big. There's every chance of getting one 2 pounds. There's a possibility of getting one 3 pound. Granted, it's not the best weather conditions for sole fishing, but you never really know what's going to turn up. So first impressions of the Any Fish Anywhere Bass Pro. What an absolutely lovely fishing rod this thing is. I tell you what though, I reckon I could be using this for more than just bass fishing. It's soft in the tip and it's very slim, it's lightweight, so if you are bassing and you're standing in the surf, absolutely spot on. But if you want to stick it in a tripod and use it, say, on Chesil Beach, fishing for plaice, absolutely fine as well. It's actually got a fair old bit of power in the bottom half. I was quite surprised. I was, in all honesty, expecting to cast out, feel a soft rod, fold in half, but that didn't happen. It's got quite a steely midsection. The butt's got a little bit of flex to it, but it's very, very easy to cast with. And even casting a 6-ounce lead into this wind today, the recovery was good. I reckon it's an absolute winner. Well, actually, there is something small on here. I'm not sure what it is at the moment. Just got to hope the leader knot doesn't get jammed in the tip ring. What have we got? Come on, fishy, show yourself. It's very small, but I would be interested to see what it is. Loads of weed and a little tiny bass, and actually some lost tackle by looks of things. Yeah, looks like it, mate. Well, if I just lower the tip down, Joe can grab hold of the leader. This does happen occasionally. You're gonna, when you're fishing somewhere like this, it does get fished a bit. And there we go, a set of tackle and a very small bass. Thank you, Joe. Well, a little bit smaller than Joe's fish, an absolute fingerling of a bass, but again, it's a really good sign that these fish are in here and feeding. Absolutely tiny, but in beautiful condition. We'll definitely be putting this one back. Well, when that tide has a bit of wind behind it, it literally takes no prisoners. It is racing in behind me, as you can probably see. It does make for quite a short session, and if you're arriving here at low tide, you're probably going to get around 3 hours fishing tops. And even then, as I've said several times before, you've got to be careful. Check your exit points, make sure you're not going to be cut off. On some of these reef systems, the tide does come in around you at the back, so always be wary of that happening. Right, time for me to move back up onto another reef. Take a look at that sea though. So I've just moved back up onto the next reef, and this rod went really slack. I've literally just put the rod down in the rest and it sprung up, and to start with I thought it was maybe a bit of weed on the end, but no, I think there is a fish on here. I hope it's not another ray. They're okay, but it's just nice to get something else just to mix it up a bit. It's not doing a great deal. Oh, it's swimming towards me a bit now. It's gone to ground. There we go. Bump it up over those rocks. I'll have to go down a bit closer to the water now, I think. Let's go and have a look. Well, it could be the same fish actually, but it's not. Another very small male ray that's picked up the ragworm bait there. Right, we are running out of time. Like I say, I've already been pushed up onto this first reef. I'm probably going to have to move again in around sort of 15 or 20 minutes. So I've got to make the most of the fishing time available. Let's get this one back and get another bait straight back out there. So it's gone a little bit quiet and we are going to get pushed off of this reef in a very short space of time. So in just a few moments I'm going to shuffle back onto the next reef, and we really are at the last chance saloon then. There is something really lovely about this time of evening though. The sun's just going down and that golden light is just cast across the landscape. It's absolutely magical. Well, I've just had another bit of a bite on here. Again, I don't think it is a bass or a smooth hound. It was quite a steady sort of pull over of the tip. It doesn't take much to pull the tip over on this rod. This is the Bass Pro. So again, let's test it out with a ray and give it a little bit of stick. I'm saying it's a ray, but I don't know yet. It's gone in a snag anyway. But like I say, let's give it a bit of a bend. Load of weed just came down as well. That's going to land on my head. Hey, there we go. Right, now we've got this fish moving. That's the thing with rays, they really do dig into the seabed when they want to. Other times they'll be up on the surface, you know, as soon as you've struck into them. But this fish now, it's gone slightly down tide. I want to try and get it in as quickly as possible, because if you let a fish stay out there at range, then it will get in the tide and, you know, soon run away from you. It just makes it a lot harder bringing it in through the tide then. It's not that far out now actually. The sun's just starting to dip over the horizon there. It looks beautiful. So here we go. Like I say, she's not very far out now. Just tracking down with that tide. There's probably a bit of weed on here as well, but there we go. Yeah, this little rod has certainly got some grunt to it, I've got to say. It's not really what I was expecting, but you know, in a very good way, I've got to say. Right, let's just go down after this one, I think. There she is. Now if we can just steer her up through this gully. Look at that rod bend. Tell you what, we might have to... No, she's going to come. There we go. Lovely. Slightly bigger fish this time. So it's definitely not the same one. Well, there we go. It's not a bass, but who cares? A nice little ray to end the session. It was great to see Joe catch that fish earlier on though. I bet he was chuffed with that. I certainly would be. Right, well, time to get out of here. If you've enjoyed this video today, please hit the subscribe button. It does make a hell of a difference to what I do, and I'll catch you next time.